Hold on.
Scoot over so you can be in the shake
Oh,
shot.
oh. Hi!
Hi!
Hey, pasta.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Oh, turn.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, friend. Hi, Tank. Welcome to Track Girl Summer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How y'all doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm talking to Tank right now, so like I'm living a good life.
Are you in your studio right now, or
say it again?
Are you in your studio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is my cave. This is my place where I do all of me.
I see you got your plaques up. You just like just how we have our medals, trophies hanged up in the back. I see you got your plaques in the back.
You better.
You know what? And I'm normally not the trophy guy, but this plaque just it means a lot to me. You know what I mean? Just because of the time that it kind of speaks to that I put in, you know what I mean? And being at the age that I was and the time of my career, and, you know, for most people being counted out at that, you know, when you get to that space, and for me to have my biggest record at that point, I was like, okay, well, let me put this plaque up.
You hitting on all the things we want to talk about.
Like, calm down. Let us ask you some questions.
Okay, my fault.
Let us get to it.
You know what's funny though? I was prepping for this interview, so I was watching interviews of you, and in one interview, you were like, "I just like to have good conversation," and I was like, "Me and
was
Tank."
Was that the Breakfast Club?
This was actually lip service.
Oh yeah.
She wasn't doing all the homework I was doing.
Yes, you know
but
what?
let me finish. So I was just saying, like, me and Tank are gonna be friends because I like a good conversation too.
Yes,
and I was like, we're gonna vibe. But before we talk to you, let me talk about you real quick, because Tank, is it? You know what's funny? It's Durrell or Durrell? It's fine. We don't need to. Durrell Babs. 4-time Grammy nominated R&B singer. You wrote for Beyonce, Kelly Rowland.
Hold on, let me add some more medals to that. That's 9-time Grammy.
Do your homework, girl.
First of all, then upgrade your Wikipedia, Tank.
No, it's a lot of misinformation out there. It's not your fault. I promise. It's not your fault.
Look. If Google tells me something, I'm gonna trust Google.
You say you gonna get it right.
Okay, I'm a 9-time All-American. See, this is why I'm telling me and Tank be vibing.
This is why we together.
I'm 11-time. I like to compete, so I'm gonna throw my
11. Okay. All right.
We weren't even
back to you, Tank. It's about you.
He has written for Monica, Omarion, Jamie Foxx, Fantasia, Pitbull. That's why he came on saying Que Pasa, because he speaks a little Spanish. He was a multi-sport athlete in high school. You also had an offer to play in college football. We're going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And apparently you're a track fan.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're here. I was like, you know, who's your favorite athlete? And, you know, I know that... I did my homework, so I know that you're quite comfortable. But you mentioned Mo, and you mentioned the twins, Mickey and Lisa Barber, who are actually my Gamecock sisters too. So who's actually first? We made Mo happen, but who's your?
I mean, I was actually blessed to meet, like, when Mo was, probably right after he was killing. I met him, you know what I mean, in LA, and got to hang out with him, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, this is a really cool, fast cat.
Mm-hmm. Right? He's a Leo. We got the same birthday, so he's yeah.
What was hurtful? What was hurtful, Tank, is like you listed these 3 athletes, and I was like, oh, okay, he didn't say Corey Carter. That's fine. I'm okay. It's okay. All right.
I'm older. I'm older, you know what I mean? I'm people from my generation.
I'm just happy that you're here.
And the twins are like, they're like family. I met them through my guy Jimmy, who played pro football. So, you know, once he introduced me to them, and we just hit it off. You know how athletes do? They just get to talk and having a good time. So they're like family. So that's why I love them.
Yeah, we like to chat and have a good old time. So we were talking about you know, music that we listen to warm up and stuff. And I was saying that I actually have this story. So one of my favorite songs of yours is When We from Sex, Love, and Pain. And I was having a moment, Sex, Love, Pain 2. I was having a moment here on the couch because I was like, I remember it was like 2017, 18-ish. I had just bought myself the Audi A7. I was feeling myself. I blacked out my tints. Like, it was so dark in my car. I would be driving down the highway down into... I can't sing, but I be trying to hit them notes. Like I vividly, your music takes you to a place where like you can remember where you are, the vibe. Like I remember I was single, you couldn't tell me nothing, and I'm singing the song like I had somebody. But your music is like good vibe, like feel good music. And we were saying that like your music is still very much so relevant, but you're making the R&B that like they not making it no more.
Mm-mm.
Like,
well, yes, I'm kind of a, I'm a product of my environment. You know what I mean? So, my first, my first introduction to music was gospel. You know what I mean? So, in that space, everything that you do in terms of music, it has to come from a real place. It has to come from a spiritual place. It's got to come from your soul.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's where I learned to connect with music. And so those same, virtues and nuances apply when I got to R&B, and especially when I started hearing like Keith Sweat and New Edition and Bobby Brown and Guy and you know what I mean? And all of those songs and moments. I mean, songs have moments attached to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can remember walking down the street to the county fair, and Make It Last Forever was like the biggest song in the world.
Yeah.
And it was playing in every car, and I was walking by myself, a little kid walking into the dark to the county fair because I wanted to get on the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster and play some games. I remember to this day. You know what I'm saying? I remember what's the song? Turn up, love is a house. You got the key. That was my first time going to a dance. That was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, so like I try to make music that does that for other people. You know what I mean? If you can't connect it to a moment, then I don't think the music has any life. It doesn't live past anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned saying you grew up listening to Keith Sweat, but you had Keith Sweat on your album. I remember the first time I ever met Allison Felix, and I could not talk. And then she became my contemporary. She's actually like one of my teammates. She's been one of my biggest mentors, mm-hmm. and but I'm still like, I'm her biggest fan, and I still like fangirl over her, even though I could text her right now. So what was that experience like, being like, I grew up listening to your music and now you're on my album?
Same thing. So like Keith Sweat is OG. Keith Sweat is mentor. I can call Keith Sweat anytime. You know what I'm saying? And he pick up the phone. What's going on, baby? What you need, Tank? You know what I mean? And like he's that guy, and he's, for me, an R&B artist, he's a guy that, I've been trying to pattern my career off of, because when you walk into Keith Sweat's house, when you walk into his garage, you see masters of all of his music. You know what I mean? And masters of the artists that were signed to him, from Cut Close to Silk. And he started talking to you about publishing that he owns, and the record label that he signed himself that he owns, that, you know what I mean? And so you start getting all this information, and then you're on shows with Keith Sweat, you know what I'm saying? And you realize that Keith Sweat is not getting a fee to be on the show. He's the promoter of the show all of you guys are on. You understand what I'm saying? And then it's like, he's just not a voice on the microphone on stage. He's a voice that's syndicated in over 70 markets on the radio. Like, what? So it's like, if you're gonna be somebody, you know what I'm saying? You want to be the Sweat, baby. You know what I'm saying? And so it's still that same thing. I still honor him as, as the guy that he is, and pattern a lot of my career after him.
That's dope.
I have to ask, because we find a lot in like my first agent in the sport was Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson up until
Michael Johnson?
Yeah, up until recently, 400-meter world record holder. And there's this thing, like, when your idols become your rivals, of like, do they kind of pass the torch to you? Do they want to see you do better than them? So I can say MJ was one of those people, but a lot of times when you move into those spaces, you do kind of see like, wait, there's not enough space for all of us. And, listening to your interviews and, just hearing the greats that you've worked with, listening to how Keith Sweat poured into you and giving
Listen to how you hyped up Keith Sweat right now. You just were like, let me tell you about Keith Sweat.
But yeah, a lot of the OGs aren't telling, like, you should own your masters. You should be running the business. The business shouldn't be running you. Like, and I really applaud you when I hear you talk about other other artists. You really believe that there's space for all of us to win and all of us to eat. And you love collaborating, and your music on its own stands for itself, can stand on its own, but you still are able to work with other artists and create amazing music. So it's just, we always sit in a competitive space. So it's interesting to hear how that happens, because I imagine that you still kind of have to have a little bit of competitive edge. And I've heard you speak about yourself, and I know you are very confident in your artistry.
Well, I mean, there's the confidence part of it, right? And so, the people who don't share, and the people who don't welcome that level of competition, you'll find that they're not necessarily confident. You know what I'm saying, in their own. You know what I'm saying? Like a dog knows another dog. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They get to sniffing each other. Okay, you a dog too. Okay, I get it. Okay, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? And so, as going back to Keith Sweat was one of those guys where he's like, nah, I want Tank on my show, because I know if Tank is on my show, he gonna go crazy and we're gonna have a hell of a show. You know what I'm saying? He's like, Tank gonna make me do my thing. He gonna make me get out there and dance and sweat. That's why I want Tank on the show. You know what I'm saying? So like as a true competitor, you want to compete against the best. You want people that are going to bring out the best in you, that are going to make you push past that threshold that you think is there, and kick over some more gates and some more fences and get into a space to where you never thought you'd be. You have to have that in order to truly grow. And in terms of passing it along, I mean, what God has for me is for me. Yeah. Can't nobody take what's mine. Can't nobody take what's mine. You know what I'm saying? I can leave mine on the table, but you can't take it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's laid out for me. And when I decide it's time to go get it, it's going to be there for me. That's how God created his design for me. My design is not for anybody else. Nobody can take what's mine. So I'm confident in that.
And I think confidence is key, because it's like, I can tell you exactly how to do my drills, trail leg, lead leg, all of that. I can tell you all my secrets. But at the end of the day, I trust you can't do it like me. Honestly and truly. But then again, I'm a goon. So I just always bet on me. So I think that there's a confidence, but if you're insecure and you're like, oh, I don't want them to know, I don't want to, and I feel like sometimes, especially in sports, you'll see people be like, not preying on your downfall, but like, if I can make sure you are hindered, I'm gonna make sure that happens. And I feel like that to me isn't real sport, isn't real competitiveness. Like, I want you on your best day.
Yeah, I say I don't want an asterisk next to my win. Like, you won because so wasn't there. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, don't tell me you were sick. Don't tell me you know what I'm saying. You got a slightly pulled hammy, little tendonitis in your knee. Nah. I want to beat you at 100%. Let's work.
And I think that's the beauty of like how you keep pushing, whether it's in music or in sports. Like, that's how you push forward. Is like the competition, people outdoing you, so you feel like you have to step your game up. I feel like that's why we see all these world records happening right now, because there is competition. If you notice, it's like these world records aren't coming down by themselves. They're coming down because 2 or 3 people are going after it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's get into Tank the athlete, because someone on our comments was like Tank don't know nothing about track and field. Tank don't know, and they're like, why is he on this? And we're like, listen, it's track all star, baby. Like, it's gonna be okay. So all right, you're a track fan.
I'm a track fan, but it's crazy. I don't know nothing about track, and this is crazy. I mean, listen, I didn't do well in the hurdles in high school. I get it. They recruited me because I could jump really high. I could dunk a basketball in 8th grade. And I thought that hurdles was about jumping, okay? Until I got on the track and realized that there's no jumping involved. This is
It's about to be crazy.
It's a different thing that I didn't know. Momentum. It's momentum. It's form. It's all these things that you have to be disciplined and learn to do. I didn't have any discipline. Okay, let's start there. I didn't like it. So after jumping over the hurdles and being tired after the fourth hurdle and getting beat all the time,
I quit. You need to get halfway there.
Quit. It wasn't for me. I quit. Okay, so it was like, you know what? You're a sprinter. You know what I'm saying? You're fast on the football field. You know what I'm saying? You got records. You set 93 yards from the line of scrimmage. Let's you sprint. Let's get on this 100-yard dash. It was like, all right, cool. Let's get it. I get in the 100-yard dash, and I can get out the gate. Out of the gate, there's nobody faster. I am ahead of everybody by about 15 yards. But something happens at about 20 yards that I can't really explain.
Not 20 yards.
Something that happens.
I thought it was at least give it a 40. I was like, okay, let's see the 40 time. He said after 20.
Yeah, it's just something that happens after 20 yards that I can't explain. I just get
finger on it.
You want to know how I know you play football and didn't run track? Because you keep talking about 20 yards. Not me.
Listen, I'm gonna give you what I got. I
appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty because I'm tired of hearing. So, how fast is your 40?
That ain't no shade. The 40 ain't real speed. 40 is getting to speed, and you got to hold it.
I ran a 4.4 once. That's all I got, and I claim that as my time forever. You know what I'm saying? Anybody ever ask me, I say I run a 4.4. But
where on Wikipedia can I find that information? I gotta verify some things.
This is before iPhones. This is before, you know what I'm saying, anything digital.
You ain't got no huddle. You ain't got no huddle profile.
No rival.
This was caught on VHS, maybe. Maybe on VHS. Now, me from the line of scrimmage going 93 yards, that's on VHS. I got that. But again, after 30 yards, something happened. I got slow. I don't know what it is. I can get out the gate fast. I just can't hold it.
My dad says the same thing.
I feel like I've heard that quite often, but we're gonna let you live.
It's okay, because you know what? I can't get out. I always come from behind because I really do.
I'm a fast starter.
I see myself like a train. Like I gotta.
Oh, you gotta warm up.
But once I'm going across the whole country. Like ain't no stopping a train. But it takes a little while to get the train started.
Yeah.
I'm not with distance. With distance, like if we're running 3-4 miles, then I can get a rhythm, you know what I'm saying, at some point and just keep pushing. But sprint, I can go 0 to 60 in 2 steps. I'm out. But I don't know what it's conditioning. I know what it is.
You still got it?
I just wasn't disciplined.
He's a 2-step king.
Huh?
You still got that start? Like if we lined up today.
If we lined up today, I'll probably be ahead of you on my first 5 steps.
With or without blocks? I'm trying to set this up for real, so I need to know all the ramifications. What are the rules, regulations?
Here's the problem with the blocks. You more skilled with the blocks. There's a skill that comes
come on.
You got to meet me in the streets, okay? One hand down, one hand up. You got to meet me in the street.
I can meet you in the concrete race.
Not only do I people 2-step to my music, and I got 2 steps in a race. Like that's it. I feel a tank. Okay, we gonna line up in the streets, 3-point stance. That's what he gets at football. It's at football stance.
Football talk. We went from yards to 3-point, hand in the air. It's all right. I can meet you where you at.
I feel like a lot of football guys can benefit from track. A lot of the great football players, they also run track because track speed is different than football speed. Wait. No shade to football players, but the football players know it. We saw it here.
Track is real speed. Ultimately, it's nothing but speed. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be quick, which benefits you in other sports. But true speed, you know what I mean? That's measured on that track. And if you can develop that, you know what I mean? You can see the guys in the NFL that excel, that have that real speed. The guys like the Cheetah and those guys.
Maurice Green. Not Maurice Green.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
What happened? He muted himself. We'll get them back, guys. We'll get them back.
Tank, unmute yourself,
Tank.
please. But what I was gonna say is, like, DK Metcalf, like, he came, and no shade to him, he ran a good race.
He did. I'm not.
But he wasn't even running against, like, the guys, the dogs. Like, he was not even lined up with Fred Curley. He wasn't running up with nobody's Trayvon Brumell. And he got 8th or 9th.
I think it was 8th. Or I think maybe he beat one person. I don't remember.
And I'm saying, like, no shade. Like, the goons weren't even in the race. And that's what I'm saying. Track speed and football speed.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure we can get Tank back on the line.
Track speed and football speed is different. Granted, we don't have to cut like football guys. We don't have, although when I played football.
Oh, yeah.
Flagged because my dad was, sexist.
Corey, I love hearing your story, but I want to get Tank back on.
I'm filling up time while you
I know. I'm working. Go ahead.
My cut was actually pretty nice, but I also played sports. So there we go.
Here he is. Are you there? Okay.
There we go.
All right. Ooh, we were panicking a little bit, or I was panicking. Corey kept it going.
I was about to say, I want to sing it, but I know it's not going to hit right. But I was going to start singing "Please Don't Go" when you left because.
Fine. It's not about the notes. It's about the feeling. It's the sentiment.
Tell me anything.
It feels like struggle when I sing Tank. I'm trying to.
Tell me anything.
I have a question for Tank because I this year suffered an injury and it was like with my Achilles. So the worst part, like it hurt the most when I was in spikes going over a hurdle and landing a hurdle, aka my job. And it was just mentally it messed with me, and I tried to push through and I realized like I could not go to the Olympic trials because I was hindered. And I was reading that you have been losing your hearing. And I can imagine, like, for me, I'm like, not being able to use my body the way it is detrimental to me. And, like, your ears are necessary for what you do. Can you just talk about, like, that whole process and that journey and, like, how you're dealing with it now?
I mean, I've always been a glass is half full kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm always on the brighter side of things. And, from a career standpoint or just my life period, I've never hit lottery. You know what I'm saying? Things always been uphill and hard work for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, when this thing to me, I really had to approach it the same way. And I had to work from a space of if these are the tools I have left, then I got to figure out how to build a house with these tools that I have. That it just is what it is.
That's
and
right.
So, I can't hear in my right ear. The vertigo hasn't gone away, but it's, for most days it's just super light, or sometimes it's light heavy. But, it's my reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so if this is what it's going to be, then how do we fight from here? You know what I mean? So, it's taken me a while to, process all the information in one ear. It's taken me a while to, find my balance on stage, you know what I mean? When the vertigo's heavy, so that I don't slip and fall over a speaker or fall off stage and end up, on a blog somewhere with people laughing at me. But I'm figuring it out. I figured it out, and the show must go on, period.
Yeah, we wanted to talk to you about that because, especially as athletes, I mean, not so much an injury, but I'm coming back from childbirth. I had a kid 2 years ago, and I was trying to get back on the team this summer as well. But as athletes, we have to deal with adversity and like how we continue to push through our careers. And it's always interesting to see how, differing careers are similar in terms of like how you go about dealing with a possible setback. Yeah. And really not allowing it to be the thing that defines you. But as you said, you tap into the tools that like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm going to work with my doctors. I've seen you be very candid, and I want to applaud you for that too, because I feel like in our communities it's hard for us to be vulnerable and like be truthful about the things that we're going through. And I can imagine you sharing that made it, you know, so much better for someone else possibly going through something similar. But, you know, how do I continue to push through and not let this injury or this setback, you know, be the thing that ends or defines my career and
keeps you from doing what you love? Like, it reminds me of, I keep going back to Aries, but it's just like a testament of like the human will. Like, we talked to Aries earlier, like last week, and he was basically, he had kidney failure, and his doctor was like, you're gonna die. And he was like, figure out how I can run, because that's going to happen. And just how you said, like, the show must go on, and like, you're not defined by your setbacks, it's how you overcome them. How you overcome your hurdles, if I do say so myself. But I think that you're like, this I mean, you can tell from how you write music, like, that's clearly your passion. So there's not an option for you. You know, you're gonna sing, you're gonna do music.
And so my, like, it's music as a whole, right? So I do anything that's related to music. I love music. You know what I mean? So if it gets to a point to where I can't be on stage, that's not the thing that, you know, that I can do. Okay, well, I can still write songs, but I'm still a musician. I can still be a musician, or I still got game, so I can teach this and build my label and help construct the next generation of writers, singers, and producers. Like, I can still be involved, despite the setback, and recalibrate, or, you know, figure out how I can still be a part of this. It may not be in the same way, but I can still contribute. You know what I mean? And so thank God I'm still able to contribute the way I want to contribute. But in some cases, you know, you're not able to, and so you just have to figure out your way around it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we've been doing on this show, because we thought we were going to be in Tokyo. Like,
for sure.
I was like,
ain't no telling.
My parents had a hotel booked, ready to go, but like, I feel like it's been very healing for us, because it's like, I still love my sport, even if I can't be the star on the podium running the race. Like, I'm still,
how
like,
do I continue to contribute and be a part of that legacy? And
yeah.
But I love that you are focusing on what you can do as opposed to what's happening, you know? And I think a lot of times we get stuck in that. Oh no, Tank, come back. Right, I don't know if that's our connection or his. But
he was like fiddling with stuff.
Yeah, when we get him back, you want to talk with Mo is going to join us, but he's coming from class. So
Tank is joining.
Tank is back.
Tank, if you don't stop fiddling with that camera.
No, people keep calling. So I put it on airplane mode.
Stop calling Tank.
Tank. You haven't put your phone on Do Not Disturb with your
man. Keep Sweat calling him. You need a new hit record.
So it just it for some reason it doesn't click back. It just, when somebody calls, it just goes black, and I can't.
Okay. Well, I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you then.
Okay, so no, you guys were saying something. You're like, okay, we were expecting to be in Tokyo. So, in not being in Tokyo, what did that shift your mind to? What did you?
Well, I'm very honest. Everyone knows I went through a light depression.
I've been there. Yep.
5 years of trying to do something, and all of a sudden your body's like, I'm out. I took a little time, but then this happened very organically. We started doing this show together, and it's growing, and we get to talk to amazing athletes. We get to talk to Tank, and I feel like we're adding something that our sport doesn't have, and that, like, I feel like we're getting to highlight the personalities that's in track, and not so much and the people that are off the track. And as we say, we try to bring the culture to track, because there's a lot of people participating in track and field that look like us, but not a lot of people talking about track and field that look like us. Yeah. And I think that's very important, that, like, we get to tell our stories. And honestly, if I'm being honest, like, I just get to talk to my track and field idols, and for me, I just get to geek out as a big fan, and I'm using this show as an excuse to do.
Yeah, but I think ultimately, a lot like what you said, we're focusing more on what we can do, and turning this this obstacle into a positive versus, being depressed. And I think I'm a big proponent. I'm like a mental health advocate. I'm going back to school for clinical mental health, but I do think it's important that we honor our feelings, but then we also have to be able to move to a space where it's like, okay, this didn't happen, but there's still this that I can do, and there's still joy in doing this thing. And so, being able to find the joy, but still continue to, as you say, contribute to what we love in a way that we probably didn't imagine. It's a little bit different than you multi-talented, you the writer, producer, all the things. And we're just like, oh, wait, we can do this. We bring a different breath to, telling our stories and having that connection to other athletes as well. So, it's really been a joyous ride that we play and catch up on, but we love
no,
it.
it's dope. It's dope because it's just like we have a podcast called R&B Money, and I always feel like it's really hard to converse or dive deep into a conversation about a thing if you've never done that thing, right? If you've been around it, you can talk about it. You got a friend that did it. You know what I'm saying? You can talk about it, or you've been reporting on it for a long time. Maybe you can talk about it. But until you've actually done a thing, there are just nuances and just fibers connected to that thing that you just don't totally understand. You know what I mean? And so the blessing in what you all are doing is that you do the thing. You know what I'm saying? So when you have the conversation about it with other people who do the thing, it's a different type of conversation.
Yeah.
It's a different type of open up. You know what I'm saying? It's a different type of comfort level for them having this conversation with you because they can trust you because you've done it. Yeah. You do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the same with us with our R&B. Like I do R&B. Like this is what I do. I didn't used to do R&B. I do R&B right now. You know what I mean? So those conversations that I get to have with, Chris Brown and Jamie Foxx or Jacquees or whoever, they're different kinds of conversations because, they can respect the conversation a whole lot different. You know what I'm saying? And we can really get into it. So I applaud you all for finding this space because we're gonna get some things from your conversations, in this space that we won't get from regular people just trying to have these conversations. We're going to get real gems. So man, I applaud you.
Thank you. We're like at this point very synced. So before you came on, I don't know if you were listening before you came on. I was talking about how nowadays male R&B groups don't exist. We don't get it anymore, and I don't like that. And Tank, I'm wondering, you saying you can do all the things in music. Can you put together a little male R&B group? Can we make the band again?
Tank, you've been trying.
I tried.
I know. I've been seeing can we get it together? We gonna, this is a space, but everybody's not cooperating.
Of R&B,
but
from
the fans want to see it happen.
It's just, let's start here. It's expensive. Let's start there. Just when we're talking about R&B groups, because R&B is not like rap where there are so many different places and spaces to break from. You know what I mean? So many different places for the music to live. For real R&B, we only have so many platforms to exist. And so, when you're doing, when record companies are doing the math on that, because they're not doing it based on feeling or based on the need of a true R&B listener. It's just numbers at this point, and the numbers don't add up. You know what I mean? You take me, Tyrese, and Genuine. We can generate the numbers, but there's also a thing where we've had a career 20 plus of doing it our way. And now we have to come together as a group and figure out whose way makes more sense. You know what I mean?
Diplomatic. You're so diplomatic. I love it though. I love it.
No, I mean, you know what I mean? And you got two Capricorn.
I hear you. I hear you when you say, the record labels, this and that. But I'm talking about what I want.
There's another component, right? And then for what has happened with R&B is that they've given so few of us opportunity. Um, you know what I mean? It's a lot of times you just want a lot of R&B cats want that piece for themselves. Like they don't want to share it. You know what I mean? And so like even speak like let's talk about the dynamic of where most R&B males come from. Like let's say they come from the church, right? And so there's always that one guy who could really sing at the church. You know what I mean? He wasn't in a group. Most times he probably wasn't an athlete, but he could sing really good. And so they get this guy, now he's singing R&B and he's doing his thing. And even at that point, if he's successful, he's still not sharing. He's still not a collective thing to where he wants to put something together with somebody else. And that's just from the upbringing of that. But you take a rapper who comes from the block, who comes from a gang, who comes from always me and my guys, we're gonna do this, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna go ride on them, we're gonna do such and such, we're gonna hit the club. Like it's always we when it came to the rappers. So when rappers get on, they're like, I'm bringing all my guys with me. It's gonna be 30 of us and we're gonna share a happy meal until we get to the top. Like they have that mentality. So that's kind of why they're up on us and why you see more collaborations with rappers and them trying to be groups and them trying to do things together, because they just get together, smoke some weed and do records and have a good time. Whereas in, we have been groomed as individuals. You know what I mean? And especially if you didn't play any sports, you don't know anything about a team. It's just I. Only I is in win. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to figure out how to win by yourself. So I don't know. I think that dynamic kind of disrupts what we're trying to do, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll try to find a group.
We understand that dynamic because we run track. We don't play well with others.
We don't play well together.
And then that's what drops on relays. But